y'all, welcome and welcome back. If you are new here, let me just tell you a little bit about what we do here. Obviously, we read scary stories that you guys send in to me. That's what we're doing today. And if you'd like to send me your own stories, please find the email in the description and just put YouTube in the subject line of the email if you don't care, so that I'll know where to read it. Some other things we do here is we talk about scary movies. We talk a little bit about Appalachian folklore. I tell some of my own scary paranormal experiences, and we're gonna start talking about scary books here soon. So it is a fun time and I'd love to have you. Obviously, I'm on YouTube, but I'm also on TikTok, Instagram, and Patreon. All of that will be linked below, so please go find me on those. And yeah, I think that's everything. Let's get into it. So this story isn't necessarily long, but it really freaked me out, and I have a lot of things to talk about and say. So I was like, you know what? Let's just give it its own video. So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna be talking about a cemetery found in Kansas that is apparently a gate to hell. Not only that, we are going to be talking about a subscriber's very own scary experience there. So here we freaking go. So first I'm gonna read it, obviously, and I'll probably stop here and there to talk about things, but I am very excited to tell you the story because it is spooky. Hey Morgan, I love your content and hope all is well. I've come here to tell this story as a last resort because I'm unsure on how to go about this. For some background, I've always dealt with strange little paranormal things considering I live in a 200-year-old Victorian home. I'm used to spooky things happening, even some sinister, but what I'm about to share is like nothing I've ever dealt with before. Last October, when I was 17, almost a year ago, me, my best friend, and my sister all went down to this haunted cemetery in Lawrence, Kansas. It's called Stull Cemetery, and it's supposedly one of the 7 gates of hell, or something like that. So I've never heard of this cemetery, and now I just really want to do a deep dive into it because what all has happened there for it to get that title? I need to know. Like, I know we're about to find out some things that go down there. I want to learn all of the stories. So this is my formal plea to the world. If you have any stories from the Stull Cemetery in Lawrence, Kansas, please send them to me, I beg of you, because I am intrigued. When we arrived, I immediately felt strange, but I figured I was just nervous considering it's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in the United States. The 3 of us parked down an old gravel road and began to make our way to the cemetery by foot. When we arrived at the gates, I looked over across the street from the cemetery and I saw a church building. I noticed that it's been burned, like the windows on the 2nd level were boarded up, and I mean it was literally burned. I found that to be a little strange and unsettling. I should have taken that as my sign to get the hell out of there, but obviously I did not, as I'm sitting here writing this story. Anyways, we make our rounds and nothing happened. My friend and sister would say a few stupid things to taunt the spirits, but still nothing. We messed around for about 30 minutes and then we decided it was time to go back home because at that point we were just bored. When I got into the car, I remember feeling a little off, like I just made a huge mistake, and that's all I could think about on the way home. So I'm gonna pause there. That's something that is not talked about enough when you go to haunted locations, because this has happened to me several times. Like, I'll visit somewhere that's supposed to be so infamously haunted, right? And I'll experience like nothing, and then I come home and shit hits the fan. That happens so often. Like, I literally think like you're walking through this place and a spirit sees you and it just like attaches itself to your shirt. And it's like, I'm just gonna be here, and it just like walks around with you. You don't even know it's there, rides with you home, and then it gets home and it's like full poltergeist. I swear that happens so often and no one talks about it. We get home safely and nothing happens besides having this lingering eerie feeling, but I chalk it up to just being anxiety. About a week goes by and still nothing, until one Friday night. My friend calls me asking if I want to go to Taco Bell and drive around, and of course I say yes. How could I pass that up? That is so real. She gets to my house at around 9 p.m. and we just go to Taco Bell and drive around to listen to music. I'm singing along and having fun when I happen to glance at the side door mirror, which is facing the back seat of the car. Immediately I gasp because I see a face of an old woman. I begin to freak out and I turn the music off. Taylor, obviously panicked at this point, asked me what the hell just happened, and I explained to her what I saw. Then her face immediately went pale and her eyes went wide. I've never seen her face like that, so that freaked me out even more. She proceeds to tell me that she's been seeing an old woman in her back seat for the past week. She didn't say anything because she thought it might have just been what she was smoking, but now we were both sitting there pretty much paralyzed with fear. She drops me off at home and I begin to get ready for bed. I told myself that I'm sure it had some weird attachment to Taylor because she was taunting the spirits at the graveyard. Plus, I had only seen it when I was in the car. I was really just telling myself that to make myself feel better, but I was wrong. I fell asleep at around 11:30 p.m. and woke up at 2:40 a.m. on the dot with an insane thirst. So I go downstairs to get myself a drink and a little middle of the night snack. I was eating my snack when I began to hear things. There was a tapping noise on the back door in the kitchen. I tried to reason with myself, so I told myself it was just the wind blowing on the house, causing the door to creak, as it actually happened to be really windy. Although I didn't completely believe that theory, I stuck with it because I'd rather that than the other possibilities. I continued to eat my snack, and then I heard 3 loud knocks on the door, and my heart sank. I was frozen in fear, and immediately spit out the food I was eating as I couldn't get myself to swallow it. At this moment, it had seemed the entire world around me had gone silent. One thing about me is I have the worst eyesight ever, but at this time I wasn't wearing glasses because I didn't think I needed to. So I pulled my phone out and tried to take a video of the door to see what the hell was making that noise. I didn't want to get any closer than I had to. On this video, I explained that I'm hearing weird knocking, and I pan the camera over to the door, and all of a sudden I see the most disturbing, creepy looking face that I have ever seen. I can't even describe to you what it was. It didn't look human. Naturally, I began to freak out, so I shut off the lights and run up to my room. The second I got up there, I grabbed my black salt, protection salt, and put it by the edge of my bedroom door and window. I didn't sleep that night. The next day I showed my family, and they all saw what I saw. My parents are not into this stuff at all, so they were incredibly disturbed and made an appointment with our priest to get the house blessed. That was a year ago, and things have only gotten worse. Nowadays, every time I go downstairs late at night, my eyes dart to that door first thing because I'm still shaken up. I hear whistling at night, tapping on my bedroom window. The stairs that lead up to my bedroom creak as if someone's walking up them. The door to my bedroom makes noises every night as if someone's trying to get in. This whole time I thought I was the only one experiencing these things, but my brother and his fiance were watching a movie there the other night and they heard someone whistle right in their ears, followed by a little whisper. They couldn't make out what it said, but safe to say they won't go into that living room alone anymore. Overall, I just don't know what the hell is going on or what this thing could be. So I'd love to get some advice. I don't know if this is because our little trip to Stull or what. My friend ended up moving out of her house and getting a new car, so she hasn't seen anything since. But my sister has heard and seen some things. About a month after she had this weird dream, but it also wasn't a dream as she described it. She said she was awake and it was almost as if she wasn't or something. She told me she saw a skinny black figure standing at the end of her bed. Turns out my mom had this same weird dream. I don't think it was sleep paralysis because she could move and speak. I've had sleep paralysis many times since all of this happened. I've been having it since I was a kid. But I never see anything. I always feel something touch my head while it's happening. So I do think for certain that something attached from that cemetery. Now, I don't think it was someone buried in the cemetery. I think there might be some really bad energy surrounding it. Now, whether that's from like fear, people coming there, like taunting things or whatever, I definitely think something not human attached, if that makes sense. I'm not feeling like it's human. And the stuff that it's doing, it's not giving human. What's confusing me though is, so it attached to the friend, right? I'm just confused as to why it didn't stick with the friend, because it seems like it initially attached to the car, the friend got rid of that car, but it had already moved on to you. But I'm not really sure why, if you weren't taunting it, that it chose you. Maybe you're just more open to that kind of thing and your friend wasn't. I think at this point, if you've done, I know you said you've done protections and cleansings. If you're comfortable with it, I would definitely cleanse your whole space, make sure your window's open, and then close your window or door, whatever you have open, line windows with black salt, put up some wards. But I'm thinking if that doesn't work, you may have to do a cord cutting ritual with this entity because it seems pretty latched. But if it makes you feel any better, I don't feel like it's latched to you. I think this is a thing that latches to places and objects. So I think it was latched to the car, and then it maybe followed you and latched to your house. So a cleansing and banishment of the house should work. Hopefully, fingers crossed, but I would look into that and try it. I hope I was helpful. That was horrific. That was a horrific story. Please find more stories, you guys, and send them to me from that cemetery. I'm so intrigued. But that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you tomorrow.